Hey guys, this is Ricky Rod with Bombhouse Recording, and I'm back. We had some family issues this past few weeks. My mother-in-law was in a pretty serious car accident, so just keep her in your prayers if you would, please. But that did put us behind a little bit, put me behind, and getting everything caught up. I manage a studio full-time here, so it was a little bit challenging. I think I'm getting everything caught up, but I want to kill two birds with one stone in this video. I want to talk about how I layer and stack electric guitars and bass guitar. I think sometimes we forget about the bass, and this song's a good example of how to really lock in a great rock tone with the bass guitar in a mix. So let's discuss my guitar tracks and the way I think about it. I like to layer guitar tracks. This song is actually very simple. We were going for a 90s rock Nirvana feel, kind of like Nirvana and Weezer put together. So the stacks are really simple. I just use two clean tracks right here. Got a couple of dirty tracks, and then we've got the hook track. The hook lead track is a big muff, and I think half of the dirty sounds are a big muff pedal, which is just a very dirty fuzz distortion pedal, really fun to use. So let's listen to a little bit of this track just to give you an idea. Nice. So you can ask, hey, how do we get those big guitars? How can I get those at home? It's not very hard. In this situation, I used a Vox AC15 hand-wired with a Blue Alnico speaker. I used a fathead ribbon mic in front of it going into an API mic pre. Okay? So, and the tones of these clean tones are just doubled electric guitar clean tones. Right here. That's it. A little bit of dirty. That's all it was. Nothing fancy. I used my John Mayer Strat. Now the dirty tones, when you want to layer dirty parts, right? Talking about high gain parts, it's always good to do one with a little bit of gain, and then do one with a little bit more gain, and then do another track where it's just crazy. Don't worry about the noise. Don't worry about all the crazy buzzy sounds. Sometimes it makes for a cool sound. So when we listen to all these dirties mixed together on this chorus, listen to this. Right? So that's only 3 guitar tracks, but it sounds massive. So let's listen to what I used here. So let's listen to this dirty track right here. So that is, I can tell you right now, that is a Super Bolt overdrive pedal going into my Vox AC15. Okay, and I'm pretty sure this is the muff. Oh yeah, that's the muff. I mean, that just sounds crazy cool, right? So one's dirty, one's super dirty. Let's listen to this one. This one's probably nuts too. Okay. You can definitely tell I gain stacked that one too. So when you put them all together, right? So when you put them all together, that's where the hooks and that's where the tones really stack and layer together and create that really big guitar tone. Now the hook tone, I think I just used, again, the big muff, my Strat, and I put a little bit delay on this just to give it some space. I wanted more of almost like a chorus on it, so let's listen to it in context. There you go. So again, very simple, and if you want to see the EQs I used and the plugins I used, this is pretty much the chain that I used on all of the guitar parts here. All right, so let's go to the bass. Let's discuss the bass. Now, approaching bass in a rock song is very different than approaching bass in a pop electronic song. So I will talk about that in a different video soon. Just had a band in here recently where we did a pretty much a purely electronic track, and man, that track came out awesome. But the way I would mix that song versus this is very different. So again, I tracked all the music on this song except for the drums. So I don't claim to be an amazing bass player, but I wanted this bass track just to be very solid. I think I ran a DI right here, Rupert Neve DI, and then split into an Ampeg B15. Okay, so let's listen to this tone in context with the drums. Let me get my group set up here. So we can listen to the drums, the bass, all that good stuff here. So this is the way the rhythm section is going to sound. Cool. So it's a very rock type tone. I used a pick. Kept it again very simple. But when you look at the plugins I used, here's the plugins, right? Just punched up the bass a little bit. I love the FG Bomber in this monster, so I wanted to give it a good feel. So that's the DI tone. Now the mic tone is going to be a little bit more round. I didn't EQ that one a lot simply because the tone by itself was really good. So when we go into this chorus, listen to it in this chorus. All right, so again, that's a very like pop, almost pop punk kind of tone, but I wanted it bright, but I still wanted it to be bassy. But when you listen to it in the mix in context, it comes out sounding almost like a bigger guitar, which in this case, it's fine. Now, there's plenty of plugins. Waves makes a max bass plugin that gives it a great bottom end if you're looking at that. But as for rock bass, this is my personal favorite setup. And it's just simple. I use a pick. I have a Fender American P bass. Nothing fancy. I think it ran through my pedal board. I may have had my Super Bolt on to give it a little crunch. But again, the tone sounds good. There's not a lot in the chain. You just sort of want to capture the tone the way it is. But capturing bass can be the trickiest part of a mix. And a lot of times you need to reference more than what you're listening to in your studio monitors. So, especially when you're at home, judging bass can be the most difficult thing. And I would suggest that, say, if you're done for the day tracking, make a quick, drop a quick mix up into Dropbox and, have dinner with your family, take a break, do whatever. And then before you go to bed, throw in a cheap set of headphones and listen to it on your phone. And that's what I do. I keep a cheap set of Apple earphones beside my bed, and I'll review everything I've tracked during the day just to listen to how the stereo spread is and the bass spread. I know personally in my studio, when there's songs in certain keys, I just know I need to double check how the bass is going to sit outside of my room. Now, my personal monitoring set is pretty high end. I use the Dangerous Music D-Box, got some really good monitors. So my monitoring system is pretty solid here, but it never hurts to reference in other places like my car or on headphones, right? So when you're trying to get the bass image of your mix, listen to it on different boxes, listen to it in your headphones, because it will trick your brain, okay? I know a couple of studios back, the particular room I was tracking in, the bass was it was way off. It felt like I had a ton in the mix, and then I would go listen to it in other sources, and the bass wasn't even there. And I got so used to mixing in that room, I just always felt like I was mixing bass heavy when I really wasn't mixing bass heavy. I was just mixing where it was just right. It was just the way the room wasn't well treated. So when I built my current studio, that was the first thing I wanted to do, was to create a bass accurate room as much as possible. So again, it could be challenging, but for rock bass, it's pretty simple. Good bass, keep the strings decently new, depending on the tones you're going for. But when it comes to capturing it, just get you a good DI. An amp would work. Sometimes I use my AC30 as a bass amp just to get a little grind. But anyway, this is what I wanted to talk about: how I layer guitars, how I stack bass in a mix. So if you guys have any questions, any comments, please hit me up. Hit a like, dislike, all that good stuff. But God bless, man. I hope you guys have a good week.